So, I mean, obviously they made the big trade for Luka, sent Anthony Davis to Dallas. What do you like? What does this situation look like if they never traded Anthony Davis over there?
Well, I don't think they would have gotten to the three line had they kept Anthony Davis. I don't, especially given the fact that his injury clearly was more substantial than Luka's. So I think we do have to consider that piece of it. Do I think, given how Luka played in this series, that LeBron showed you he can still get to a high volume scoring level in the playoffs if need be? That all that would they maybe have had a better chance in this specific series, given how Luka played all of it against this specific opponent if they had Anthony Davis? Maybe. Do I think that's relevant? Not even a tiny bit. Because if they had Anthony Davis, we know that that team could not generate enough offense to compete for a championship. We had seen it over the last few years. Now, you can say, well, this team couldn't either. And they didn't. But there is going to be an immense amount of Luka Doncic criticism today and this offseason. And even some folks who, not naming names, because I wouldn't want to call them shameless charlatans by naming their names, Kevin Wildes, who just a few weeks ago were going viral for explaining how Nico Harrison is at the forefront of the modern day Babe Ruth trade, which means a few weeks ago, these people, again, not naming names, Kevin Wildes, were comparing Luka Doncic to Babe Ruth, are now going to be like, well, how good is he really? Like, I think that's ridiculous. Do I think Luka had a good series? No. Do I think this is do I know this is the first time in Luka's playoff career, Demonze, where you can fairly and honestly say, man, it was one of the big reasons your team lost was because you didn't play as well as they needed. Yes, that is fair. Every other series he's lost, he has been either a triple plus or his team's just been outgunned. So the first series he ever played against the Clippers, he was 31, 10, and 9 and hit a buzzer beater to win a game. The second series they ever lost was 7 games against the Clippers. He was 36, 8, and 10. The third series they lost was against the team that won the championship, Golden State, in the conference finals, and he was 32, 9, and 6. And the fourth series he lost was against Dallas in the finals when he was 29, 9, and 6. And against Boston in the finals. While I underrated Boston in that series, Boston has proven itself to be a great team. This series, they needed more from Luka on both ends, and he wasn't able to provide it. That's fair to criticize. This series, and here is the part, Demonze, of Luka is out of shape. Luka's endurance is not up to par that I struggle with. Okay?
All right.
So let me tell you. How many players these playoffs have played more minutes than Luka Doncic? Do you have a guess?
Probably not one.
Yeah,
I
0.
would assume, yeah.
He and Jamal Murray are tied for the most. So the players who have played 200 plus minutes these playoffs: LeBron, Cade, Anthony Edwards, Joker, OG, Luka, Jamal Murray. Okay? Now you might be like, well, some of those series went 4 games. Minutes per game, these playoffs. The guys who are playing 40 plus, it's the exact same list. Right on the outside looking in is Jalen Brunson, Paolo Banchero, Christian Braun, and Austin Reeves. So here is something I really struggle with when it comes to the criticism of Luka's conditioning. Criticizing his defense to me is obviously totally in bounds and fair. When it comes to criticizing his conditioning, my problem is, would he look less winded and more rested like other starters do if, like other starters, he wasn't playing more minutes than everyone else in the playoffs? So, like,
also on the
go
other
ahead.
end, if he's not giving you exactly what he needs, we need from him in order to win the series, then maybe take him off the court for a little bit so he can come back in later and have more energy and put out a better offensive output or something.
Right. So
Whatever you want to call it.
There's it. What is frustrating to me is, if he was playing, average minutes for a superstar and just looked more winded than all the other superstars, then I would say it's more of a fair criticism. But when he is so this year, up to this point in the postseason, he's played more minutes than everybody. Last year, when everyone just killed him for how tired he looked at the end, he played 900 minutes that postseason, right? Jason Tatum sure looked fresher in those finals. Tatum played 768 minutes on a per game basis last year in the playoffs. Luka was at 41 minutes per game. The only guys to play multiple series and be at 40 plus were Kyrie, Joker, Tatum, Ant, Luka, and Josh Hart. And if you remember, at the end of last postseason, Ant said, "Man, I fell off because I was exhausted." It's what he said. He was like, "I was exhausted." And this is year after year that this is the case as far as Luka's postseason usage. And then people are like, "Man, dude's out of shape." When he obviously is not in tip-top physical shape.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing that.
But
Go
I
ahead.
say he also doesn't play like everybody else. Like you're saying he's out there for all those minutes. Luka isn't freaking busting his ass up and down the court. Like he's kind of like moving around, and then when he does have the ball, he plays at his own pace. It's like he makes you play at his pace that is not a fast pace. So it's like, hey, dude.
No, listen, that's all fair. I just think it is a little. It is a little, I think, overstated the amount of, man, Luka's out of shape, and that's the problem. When each of the last two postseasons, he's led the NBA in minutes per game. And when you also add to it that the guy who just beat him in this series, Ant, last year said he was out of gas and Luka was moving on to the finals. Now, with that said, Luka should look at this year as a true failure. The team he wanted to stick with gave up on him. And then he got to the Lakers and they lost as a 3 seed and he wasn't great. So he does need to be better. He does need to get in better shape. But there is going to be, in my opinion, there is going to be a massive overreaction to this series. And there is, if you want to say, let's see how Ant does the rest of the postseason. Is it possible that the question you asked the other day, Demonze, could Ant supplant Luka on the NBA hierarchy? Sure. Do I think he has done it already? I do not. I don't think that.
Well, yeah, I think especially he was barely at the hands of the win last night, so I can that's fair.
And I think that, right, and that's another piece of it that I think has to be factored into when we're talking about, these. Luka is one of, to me, just two guys in the league, him Joker, and Giannis, that a game that like the one Anthony Edwards had last night feels impossible. Where it's just, like there's only 3 guys in the league where even their bad games, it's like, what did he finish with? It's like 25, 9, and 7. Like the fly in that ointment is Friday night, Luka had a game where I think it was 17, 7, and 8. But if we take him at his word that he was dog sick, then you can attribute it more to that. And so I'm not making excuses. I am, though, explaining what I think, how I think this went down, and what it means for him moving forward. He does need to be better. But also, this one last thing on Luka before we get to LeBron. I'm amazed at the number of people that will just say, well, if Luka's on your team, you can't, your defense has a ceiling. As if we didn't see a team, again, last year with Luka not only make the finals, but from the All-Star break through, or a little after the All-Star break through the finals, have the number 2 defense in basketball. And in those finals, hold Boston way below its season averages offensively, and play actually, Dallas's defense was good in the finals. Its offense is why they lost. Like, the fact that it's not a hypothetical. Can you have an elite defense with Luka Doncic on it? If you have the right roster, you evidently can have an elite defense with Luka and Kyrie on it. And so I think we just saw it. We literally just saw it. And so there's going to be some overreaction, which is what we're supposed to do this time of year. But get ready, DeMonze, for an NBA, player ranking list that doesn't just have Jason Tatum ahead of Luka Doncic, that has Jaylen Brown ahead of Luka Doncic. I mean, okay. There is going to be, mark this down. Someone, and I don't mean some fan, someone semi-credible will come out with a top 10 players in the league list going into next year, and they'll leave Luka off it. Like, okay. Let me see if I can figure out the 10 it'll be. Joker, Giannis, SGA, Tatum, easy. Steph grandfathered in because Steph, listen, again, I'm not saying that what I said about Ra's al Ghul have to provide balance in the world. That when Steph's great, he's great. When he's not, we move on. But watch TV today and see how much Steph Curry criticism there is. Just watch. I'm just curious. There'll probably be a lot of criticism of Dylan Brooks for being mean to him. But all right, so Joker, Giannis, SGA, Tatum, Steph. That's an easy 5. Now, I have to look at, the only way I can do these lists and not leave people out on everything is to just look at standings and just go team by team. So let me just do this real quick. Oh, Donovan Mitchell is going to be on there, especially with what Cleveland's doing. There's no question about it. You've got, who am I forgetting as an obvious one? Donovan will be on there, but there's a very obvious one that I'm now leaving out. Jalen Brunson. Someone definitively, this will be their 10th guy. I got to find the other 2, because this is what will really get you the engagement. We'll put Anthony Davis at 10. Anthony Davis 10, Luka 11. That'll be there. Yeah, 100%. And then there's 2 spots open. So I don't know. Oh, Wemby, obviously. Yeah. Wemby will be on there. Now we just need one more. And so, dealer's choice, I suppose. Cade maybe, Bron maybe, Durant maybe. If Denver keeps rolling, playoff Jamal. Like Jimmy Butler, if depending on what they do, they'll find somebody, and or Halliburton. What about Halliburton? As long as he can get his daddy to chill out, like, there you go. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have somebody say on TV, maybe even today, if you're trying to win a championship, I'd rather have Tyrese Halliburton. That's gonna happen. Like, and so just be prepared for it.